Almost 30 years after it was introduced in Dragon Ball GT as Goku and Vegeta's ultimate form, Super Saiyan 4 has found its way into the official Dragon Ball canon thanks to Dragon Ball Daima. But with this new version of the form being part of the same storyline that features Super Saiyan Blue and even Broly's full power Super Saiyan, who could even think to call this an ultimate form anymore? But I think that's an interesting discussion. Which of these forms actually deserves to be recognized as the Saiyan's ultimate form? And that's what we're going to discuss today. We're taking 3 different Saiyan transformations, and we're going to try to determine which of them is best suited to be the top of the mountain for this race. Now, just to be clear before we start, this is not a power scaling discussion. I want to talk about how these forms look visually and discuss what they mean to the Saiyan race as a whole. I don't really care which one can punch harder than the other. And we're going to start this little debate with the form that I find to be the least deserving of the title of Ultimate Form, Super Saiyan Blue. Or Super Saiyan God Super Saiyan for the 3 human beings who still call it that. Now when Battle of Gods came along and they introduced Super Saiyan God, I kind of rolled my eyes and I was like, it's new Dragon Ball, I'll let it slide, I'm fine with it. Then we got to Resurrection F, and while I did have a blast watching this in theaters, after all of these years and seeing the anime adaptation of that film, this was definitely not the best way to introduce a brand new Super Saiyan form. At least in Battle of Gods, we get to see how Goku achieves Super Saiyan God. In Resurrection F, he just already had Blue. And when they first explained what Super Saiyan Blue was in that film, I thought they were saying that it was sort of a alternative version of Super Saiyan God, except this one was one that you can just conjure up at will. So I thought that the 2 forms were of equal strength, only one comes from a ritual and one comes from godly training. But that isn't the case though. The way it works is that a Super Saiyan God becomes a Super Saiyan, resulting in the blue form. You're basically stacking 2 transformations on top of each other. Now, why would I not want Blue to be the official ultimate form for the Saiyans? Well, this one's pretty straightforward, because it's a god form. The Saiyans are supposed to be a very primitive race. They love carnage and violence. Even the standard Super Saiyan form that we've seen a million times at this point is primarily fueled by rage. And you have to remember, to unlock Super Saiyan God, you need Saiyans with pure noble hearts, not the savage brutes that we're used to seeing. So yeah, I just don't feel like this form suits the Saiyan race at all. Yeah, it gives them another level of strength to chase that will let them fight the gods of destruction and any other powerful foes out there, but I just feel like it's such a departure from what the Saiyans are supposed to be. Plus, if Super Saiyan Blue is just Super Saiyan God mixed with regular Super Saiyan, then doesn't that mean that Blue 2 could exist, or even Blue 3? Vegeta did unlock Super Saiyan Blue Evolution, so let's not act like they wouldn't do that again. So we're throwing Blue out. Now we're going to go to Dragon Ball GT and Super Saiyan 4, which is the form I think actually is the best suited as the title of Ultimate Super Saiyan form. Now, why do I think this? I think that visually, Super Saiyan 4 manages to combine what Super Saiyan is with the concept of the Great Ozaru Ape. Now, the interesting thing about this form is that Goku is able to achieve it despite having been wished back to being a kid. In the other Super Saiyan forms, Goku retains his child body, but once he goes 4, he returns to his standard adult size. But it's very interesting how he gets this form. In order to achieve Super Saiyan 4, you have to have your tail, and then transform into a Golden Ozaru, which is effectively an Ozaru as a Super Saiyan. Now, to be clear, they never explicitly state that the Golden Ozaru is an Ozaru as a Super Saiyan, but it's pretty heavily implied based on how the form looks. This form is just pretty much ripped right out of some old DBZ filler flashback, but I really like what the Golden Ozaru represents here. You're taking the uncontrollable nature of the Ozaru and combining it with the rage power boost of Super Saiyan. And in order to get to that next level, you have to remain in control. I think Vegeta was the only Saiyan we've seen in the entire continuity to actually be able to control himself in his Ozaru form, so this was already going to be difficult to do. Then you throw in the anger you feel from just becoming a Super Saiyan, this form should be almost impossible to master. The Ozaru form was a very important part of Dragon Ball's story up until the end of the Saiyan saga. After that, we never saw it again. So one of the things that I think that GT actually deserves praise for is making the Ozaru relevant again, and to create a brand new Super Saiyan form, where you take the best elements of the Super Saiyan line of transformations and then bringing in some Ozaru elements. It's just perfect for the Saiyans. Now, I do have some issue with the form being called Super Saiyan 4 because it's clearly not the same kind of transformation as the other previous Super Saiyan forms. You don't need to be able to become an Ozaru to become a Super Saiyan, Super Saiyan 2, or Super Saiyan 3, but you have to have that in order to become Super Saiyan 4, so I don't think it should be considered an official part of that line of transformations by calling it number 4. I think this one was just pretty much an advertising choice. Everybody already knew that there were 3 official levels of Super Saiyan, and if you want people to get hyped for Dragon Ball GT, you tell them a Super Saiyan 4 is going to show up. That's basically what happened with Super Saiyan God. Somebody at Shueisha or Toei said that the new form needed to be called Super Saiyan something, because Super Saiyan is a very marketable brand. But other than that, I think Super Saiyan 4 is the best qualified to be the Ultimate Saiyan form, because you get the best of the Super Saiyan mixed in with that gigantic Great Ape Ozaru form. So right now, we're at Blue Bad, 4 Good. But we need to discuss the last form here because I think that it also is a good contender for Ultimate Form. It just leans a little bit in a different direction. Dragon Ball Super Broly and Dragon Ball Daima are actually a lot alike. They take non-canon official Dragon Ball media and introduce them into Akira Toriyama's official lore. A new version of Broly, written by Akira Toriyama himself, definitely got people excited to see this film, but they changed some things about his transformations that I think people weren't expecting. Once the big fight starts, Broly and Vegeta fight in base until Vegeta eventually goes to Super Saiyan. But Broly keeps getting stronger and he's forced to go into Super Saiyan God. Vegeta has the upper hand for a while before we see Broly transform into a new weird hybrid form that we've never seen before. Broly's father Paragus explains that this new wrathful or rage transformation is Broly tapping into the power of the Ozaru without transforming fully. He loses control of himself like you would when you become the full Ozaru form, and he does get a little bit bigger, but he manages to retain a lot of his agility and speed because he's still mostly the same size as he's supposed to be. In this form, Broly is actually able to have a pretty even fight with Super Saiyan Blue Goku for a bit. Think about that, at this point in the story, Super Saiyan Blue is Goku's strongest form, because he's having trouble unlocking Ultra Instinct again. But Broly was actually able to go toe-to-toe with Goku for a bit without ever having become a Super Saiyan. That's a lot of power for a Saiyan that's not able to change their hair color like every other Saiyan in this story. But boy, once he figures it out, it ain't pretty for Goku and Vegeta. Broly's Super Saiyan transformation in this movie is absolutely overwhelming. Remember, he's going Super Saiyan for the first time while he's tapping into that latent power of the Ozaru form. It's a very similar concept to how Super Saiyan 4 works, only this time it leans a little bit less away from the Ozaru as far as having fur and a tail. In this case, it's making Broly massive and jacked. And then he gets even bigger and more primal when he goes full power and his hair turns green. In my opinion, Super Saiyan 4 is more like a standard Super Saiyan transformation, but with elements of Ozaru thrown in. Whereas Super Saiyan Full Power for Broly is more like an Ozaru transformation with Super Saiyan elements added to it. So in that way, I think that Broly's Full Power Super Saiyan form works as an ultimate form as well. But there's one thing holding it back, and that's because it kind of makes the Ozaru transformation sort of obsolete. I want the Ozaru form to play a part in defining whatever a true ultimate Super Saiyan form would be, but I do feel like it's cheating a little bit that Broly doesn't even need a tail to get to this power. In GT, Goku could not become Super Saiyan 4 without his tail, and he had to go through a very painful experience in order to grow it back. So while I do think that full power Super Saiyan is a very cool form, and I like that it does have some Ozaru influence in there, I think I prefer Super Saiyan 4 over it and Super Saiyan Blue as the Saiyan's greatest power. And I think from a visual perspective, Super Saiyan 4 just works the best in this role. You've got the fur and the tail, the hair's very wild and suits the nature of the form. It's just everything you need in a good Saiyan form wrapped up into one. But what do you guys think? Which form of Super Saiyan do you guys think should be considered the ultimate one? Do you have your own ideas for what the ultimate Super Saiyan form would look like? Thanks for watching this video, I really appreciate it. If you want to support my channel, then subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and hit that like button. Now, I'm gonna go keep an eye out for any power scalers trying to start fights in the comments. Nope, I see you down there. Don't do it. Do not do it.